Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Skip, aka Skip and Tosh, here back as we continue our journey through the Jonathan Hickman verse that he hijacked over at Marvel and created himself. We're kind of going a little bit non-linear, as if this was some sort of Tarantino film or a Jonathan Hickman comic book. And we are going to go back to Secret Warriors, volume number 1, where it all started for Jonathan Hickman, his first series over at Marvel. And that journey would not be as fulfilling if I did not have the best person on the earth, my twin, Zach. Say what's up to the people, twin.
I'm blown away by the kind words. No, how's it it's like, no, how's it going, everybody? It is good to be here. Good to be talking Hickman with Marvel. There you go. See, I got my paperback right there. Yeah, you do. Oh, you got the hardcover. Oh, I got the paperback. I can't complain. I got it at a good discount price, and book is a book. But yeah, man, this is. I was telling you backstage, modern or current day Zach is smacking younger Zach in the back of the head for not reading this when it was out on the stands. This is some good reading.
Well, we're like the Corsican twins because when you smack yourself in the back of the head, I feel it too because
Do you
I,
feel it?
I also did not. I didn't read this when it was coming out. I didn't read this until I want to say around 2016, 2017 ish is when I first
Okay.
read this, and yeah, because as I was get a little backstory, as I was getting into Jonathan Hickman, the main thing that got me into him was actually, wow, really, East of West. East of West really is the thing that got me into Hickman.
Mm-hmm.
Before when I was reading other stuff, whether it was excuse me, Secret Wars or his Avengers and New Avengers. Like as good as it was, I wasn't into him. I was really into those stories, but it was like the story that really made an impact on me was East of West, and that's when I was like, I gotta read everything by this guy. I didn't even realize it was the same guy that did Secret Wars and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of how I got. And then so now to come back and read, when I went back and I read this, I was just like, oh man, like this guy's just got the juice. Like he came out the gate swinging. And I did watch an interview with him, and he was talking about kind of his career. This was before Hoxpox and all that. And he was talking about his very first series that he published through Image Comics, which was the Nightly News. And he was talking about how he put a lot of effort into it. He did the art as well as the scripts, and he lettered it. He did the whole book by himself. He did his info pages that he loves to do. But he was talking about when he got the Marvel gig, and he got on the Secret Warriors. He talked about how he really put everything he had into it, and he said he overwrote it a little bit, but he didn't want to underwrite it, and he said he made it
Mm-hmm.
twisty and turny and all that stuff, and he made it to be flashy and he made it to be impressive because he wanted to leave an impression on people and make a name for himself. And for y'all who have not read Secret Wars, let me tell you, he does leave an impression. And for the people that have, like my twin Zach here, he can attest. My gosh, this is a book full of vim and vigor and intricacies and ideologies and peace and war and conflict, but all of the things, all of the great bad guys and the rogues gallery, as well as the nostalgic beats, and the very modern things for the times, all to come together in a very spectacular way. Is quite bombastic. But with all that said, let's jump into the first part. You guys know how we do by now. When we do these things, we give our first impressions, then we talk about impactful moments of the book that really stood out to us. And then after that, we, kind of have a little bit of an open discussion. We conclude, and then we say bye-bye. But we're not there yet. So twin, why don't you start us off on our first impressions? How did this book kind of hit you as you were reading through it and when you finished it?
So, I mean, the first thing that jumped out to me when as I read these first six issues. So I think I could say at least most of the big things that Hickman's written for Marvel. I
Mm-hmm.
read his Fantastic Four. I read his Avengers. Didn't read the new Avengers, or at least not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Read Secret Wars. Never read Secret Warriors though. And so reading through it, I was surprised. I wasn't surprised at this. It's really good. It's Hickman, so of course it's going to be really good. But it's a spy book, and a spy book generally, and at least in my experience, it's got a very different vibe than like Fantastic Four or his Avenger. The very cosmic stuff that we had been talking about. So,
Mm-hmm.
but he does the spy genre, and he does like the tone of it like really really well. Um, but then also the big thing I liked with his Fantastic Four, for as grand and cosmic as it was, it all boiled down to the theme of family.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he takes that theme and he's even able to sneak it in into Secret Warriors. It's more of like a found family thing, but still, that closeness, those bonds, that camaraderie. He does really good with those themes and injecting them into this run here. Even in these 6 issues, you see it between several characters or within one group of characters. Um, just really, and I mean, I guess it should be common news where Hickman is concerned for me right now. But yeah, just seeing that, because like I said, this is a very different book in scale, kinda, versus all the other stuff that we've read of his. But I was really pleasantly kind of surprised. I think I half expected it, but it was just really cool to see Hickman using a lot of those same tropes and just bringing that same attention and focus to this, as we know he does later down the line with Fantastic Four, Avengers, Secret Wars, and so on.
I would agree. Yeah, he's quite thematic, and his themes, he really drones on them, but not in an annoying way. He does it in
Mm-hmm.
a way where he spaces it out enough. He's like, "Hey, I really want you to understand that this is about family. Hey, I really want you
Yeah.
to understand that everything dies. Hey, I really want you to understand that all hope lies in doom. Hey, I really want you to understand that, this is a hopeless situation full of despair and there is no positive end to it. He really sets all those things up and he may change them, he may do it just for dramatic effect or whatever. But the point
Yeah.
is, he is a very conscious and considerate writer who intentionally lays things out so what he wants you to focus on. And
Mm-hmm.
it really adds to the reading experience. For me, I'm going to echo some of your sentiments about, found family, and in this particular instance, that family is found because the patriarch is has lost the family that he has fought for decades. The thing that he
Mm.
is known for, Nick
Yeah.
Fury, Agent of Shield. That's partially what I love so much about um, the uh, the name of the. I think it's the name of this series, if not just the issue itself. But let me see. Well, you know what? In this case, I can really just hold up my book. Yeah, because this is the volume one. So in volume
Yeah.
one, it's Nick Fury, Agent of Nothing, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I really like how that comes apart or comes along in the flow of the story. How he worked that line into it. It was quite masterful. But that's what it is. Shield is gone. And of course this is a spoiler stream in case anybody didn't know that by
Yeah.
now.
I mean, it's been like 10 years since this was out on the stands. It's like,
Like
just in
this.
case, y'all.
Yep, just in case you didn't know, and just in case this is your first time here on one of our streams, we spoil things. This is full on spoilers. We're talking about all of it. But one of the things that happened in Secret Invasion, is that it is discovered that Hydra had infiltrated Shield. So that beat that a lot of y'all know that affected, obviously Captain America, Winter Soldier, the MCU movie, which also trickled down to the Agents of Shield show.
Mm-hmm.
Also part of the It's part of the MCU. I don't care what anybody else says. It's part of the MCU. It's canon. But a lot of people weren't watching it back then. I was one of the people that was watching it and really enjoying it. And something that I found out later is that when they started the show and they were writing, they didn't know that that was going to be something that they had to add in. The captain, they were staying very hush hush on the scripts and the plots for Captain America Winter Soldier. So when that got kicked down, that was a pivot that they had to adjust to on the show. And like, okay, wow, so Shield has been infiltrated by Hydra. Hydra was there the entire time. But I really liked how they dealt with it on the show, and we're not going to make this all about the
Yeah.
show. The point is, Secret Warriors was such a left such an impression even on the Marvel apparatus itself that they had to take it from the comic, use it in Captain America Winter Soldier MCU movie, and it went and it trickled down even to Agents of Shield. And Nick Fury in the comic, he has to turn his back on it. He's, effectively banished, and he leaves. So now he has to, find his loyal people or make a team, make a family of loyal people. And he does that. And those themes are very strong there. And then we also have the themes of, nostalgia and old family and old friends. Those are some things that come up, and they come up in a very awesome way. But I was very impressed by the strength of the writing, the voice of the characters, the intricacy of the plot, and the thoughtfulness of how we moved through this espionage tale, getting all the espionage beats, but it being modernized. This was probably the first modernized espionage comic that I read. Yeah, I'm almost certain of it. There's elements in certain other books, but this is, like you said, Twin, this is a spy comic.
Yeah.
Like the very much espionage and all those things are worked in there. And there's some supernatural stuff too. There's some sci-fi because Jonathan Hickman loves his sci-fi, so he infuses sci-fi in here, but in such a way that it doesn't overwhelm and overtake, the theme and the genre of espionage. And I was just incredibly impressed by how just how he used an ensemble cast so perfectly and so eloquently, and it just led up to an amazing, fun, jaw-dropping reading experience. All right, well, with all
Yeah,
that
no,
said,
totally. It was definitely a lot of fun. I'm already looking forward to reading out the rest of this the next volume. It's like I want to just on keep like I got to the end of the sixth one and I was like I want to keep going. Of course there's not enough hours in the day to do all the reading that I want to do, but I was just like, I want to keep going.
it does that. It's compelling. You want to continue. And y'all stick with us because we are going to go through all 6 volumes of Secret Warriors. And for those who are like, dang, 6 volumes? Yes. And you are not going to be saying, dang, 6 volumes. At the end of this, you're going to be like,
Nope.
dang, only 6 volumes? Because it's so good. All right.
Yep.
Well, with that said, why don't we go ahead and come on over to the comic and start breaking some things down? So, Twin, we're talking about impactful moments now. Why don't you, let's go ahead and start with you. What was one of those impactful moments that you found in this book?
All right. Impactful moment, and I think I'm trying to find the particular issue that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, I think this is it. There's a
Okay.
scene. It's probably I think it's in issue 3 or issue 4.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's in issue 4. The pages in the book aren't numbered unfortunately. But
Okay.
let me lay out the scene though. Nick Fury, he at this point he's only got Daisy, aka Quake, and a handful of other, kind of rookie, the squad, they're kind of rookies. They have superpowers, but they're not skilled really at working at it as a team, or at least not as skilled as he wants them to be. So Fury's like, I need more guys, I need an army. He goes and he meets with his former right hand man, Dum Dum Dugan, and Gabriel, I think it's Gabriel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that because at this point, on top of Shield and Hydra, there's also Hammer, which at the end of Secret Invasion, what happens is Shield gets turned into Hammer. Norman Osborn like disbands Shield, and anyone who was Shield just goes and becomes Hammer. What we find out was that Dum Dum Dugan and Gabe Jones and like 1,200, 1,300 other agents from Shield chose to just walk away and just, you know, go into military or security contracting rather than just become Hammer and work for Norman Osborn. So there's this scene where Fury is talking with Gabe and with Dum Dum Dugan, and you know, he's like telling them this plan, how he wants to raid. It's a little further. This is when they're first in the bar. There's another scene like they're walking down to an armory, and you know, I think yeah, Nick Fury. He's telling me he's like he wants to arrange a raid or an attack on a old Shield base that's been converted to Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabriel Jones is like, "Are you serious about doing this? Are you serious about, you know, attacking guys that used to be Shield?" And yeah, it's that middle panel. It starts at on the left hand side, or Gabe's like, "What about the soldiers we left behind who are working for him now?" And Nick's like, "Oh, it should be quite a party. They're welcome to show up." And Gabe's like, "Are you serious? Are you seriously saying this?" And then Fury goes on this spill or this speech about how, you know, he actually uses Enron, which if you're old enough to remember everything that happened with Enron, you know, raise your hand. I'm old
My hands up.
So he's like, yeah, everybody was mad at the management and it was a terrible thing, but they would always focus on the people who lost their jobs and use it like a sad story, even though they were happy to keep taking the check, even though they knew what was going on, what the mistakes were being made. So Gabriel Jones, like, he's a little bit more idealistic, and you know, you can see the next panel or two down, he's like, "Oh, that's crap, Nick. The world's not that simple. People make compromises. Hard choices have to be made. Like I said, our guys did what they had to for their families. So tell me the truth. What are you gonna feel when you put a bullet in one of those men, Nick?" And then it goes to the next page, and I just thought it's a combination of like cold and heartless, but also just like badass and like testosterone fueled. He's like, recoil. Like, I'm just gonna feel recoil. Like,
Yes,
you can almost hear the machine gun cock as he's like adjusting the safety. It's like, this is a guy like Nick Fury. He is like this. With him, there's two things you can do. It's not hard choices. It's very black and white with Nick Fury. He works in shades of gray, but he's like, you can either take action or you can not take action. And Nick Fury is the guy who takes action. So he's like, listen, if our guys did what they wanted to for their families, that's all well and fine, but I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that the job gets done. So, you know, he's not going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I got to attack you guys because, you know, y'all did what y'all had to do. I'm going to do what I have to do. And that's it. That's just how he rolls. You know, you want, you know, ideals and like what if scenario, like you go to the superheroes for that. Nick Fury, he plays the hardball. So he plays to win. So I saw that and I was like, dang. And it was just such a cool character moment for him because it's like, it's short and sweet, his response. And it just lets you know, like, he's here to do business. He's here to work. So
yeah, that was one of like that was just so perfect. Like how he set that up. Like, oh, Hickman, what a master! And y'all know I love that tough guy talk. Like tough guy talk, I'm all for it. I just love that machismo, testosterone driven, just macho talk. You know, I grew up with it, and when it's written well, you know, like I think of the parallels between that and like very flowery Southern talk with all of the, you know, metaphors and similes and, you know, and all of that stuff. I just love that type of stuff. I just love, you know, good, effective speech. And
yeah,
they went through all of that. And Gabe asked him, he's like, what are you going to feel? You know, looking for some emotional thing. He's trying to raise conflict within the man of Nick Fury, but I guess he ain't been around Nick Fury very much recently. He done forgot how Nick Fury operated, so Nick Fury had to remind him. Recoil. It's just like, yes, yes. Oh, it was so good.
Yep.
It was good. Dang, twin, that was a heck of one.
Oh yeah.
I gotta come up with mine.
And it was also like, because Gabe, I mean, and like that whole thing before where he's talking about people making compromises and everything. It's like, it's a real timeless little speech before that, because,
Yeah.
and I say this a lot, like some of the best stories out there, the themes in them are timeless. Like I know a lot of like people want modern, storytelling for modern audiences. Like, no, if you have the right themes, like the story can be timeless. And
Yeah.
so Fury's even talking about that, and about, up higher ups make poor choices, and the workers, as long as they get paid, they just, they'll look the other way. And, it's the way he kind of rationalizes and justifies, like, he might have a good point there, Gabe. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just a really, really great scene. I like Gabe too, because I like that Nick Fury has these guys that will work with him. They're not just like yes men. They don't just go along with it because he's Nick Fury. Like, they'll actually be like, question him, or they'll be like, I don't see eye to eye with you on this. Here's why. So I do like that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, big time. And it creates a more interesting story when you do have conflict, and when the feedback, is in opposition, not always, in compliance. So all of those types of things set up scenes for good tension that, you can resolve masterfully, later. So that was really, really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Glenzer for joining us as we record these live on twitch.tv/Skipintosh, SKIPNTOSH. Glenzer has joined us. Thank you very much, Glenzer. And we'll definitely be chatting more after we complete the video. But I did find mine, twin. I found my first one. And
okay.
it should have been easier for me to remember, because it's actually at the very beginning. So at the beginning of these here story, we see that it starts off talking about, the theme, I will be
the nice
one.
little Hickman thing. Yeah, yep. Hickman does this. We saw this with Fantastic Four. He'll take like a quote and just he'll start with it. I like that.
I do too, because it sets up and puts you in the it sets the tone, right? It sets the tone. Mm-hmm. So I will be the one man. Then, these are dark and desperate times. I know that some of you are afraid. It's all right. It's perfectly natural. But I want you to know that I am not. And of course, you see Fury right there. Of course, you see the Howling Commandos, all of the Howling Commandos there.
Yep.
And I'll skip this part. It's Norman Osborn, and we're kind of modern day, and I'm going to go ahead. Although I will say, I did appreciate the waiter or the barista, like, good morning, welcome to Javant-Garde, blowing my mind, Hickman, with his little humor. Would you like to try our crushed caramel latte?
Well, of course,
or our mocha chocolate macchiato. Twin, go ahead.
That's the part that got me. Man, let me just tell you, Hickman, I love you, but you ain't never spent time as a barista, because if you did, you would just know how hard that hurts. Mocha chocolate. You've said chocolate 3 times in that one drink. Oh, God bless him, though. Oh, that part got me, though. That was hysterical.
That was really good.
All right, coffee rant aside, continue, sir.
Coffee rant out. All right. And so I am not afraid to die this day, because what we do here is necessary. It may seem impossible. Our enemies may appear to be endless, but that doesn't matter, because there is no one else. Look at me. I believe in an idea. And I want y'all to remember that being said. I believe in an idea because that comes back up. This series leads into his Shield run, and that theme
Mm-hmm.
comes back up in his Shield run. An idea that a single individual who has the right heart and the right mind that is consumed with a single purpose, and it's revealed obviously that it's Cap that's given this speech. So of course now it holds even more weight, right? Cap talking to the Howling Commandos, you know. That one man can win a war. And you see that Jasper Sitwell, who we thought was Jasper Sitwell, that individual, is actually Fury in disguise. Give that one man a group of soldiers with the same conviction, and you can change the world. You boys know where I can find some men like that? You heard the man Commandos on your feet. You want to witness history or you want to make it? Yo, and then they go. Then they go. They're off. And bro, that's all I needed.
Bruh.
Twin.
Dude, definitely. Oh my God. I love, first of all, I'm a sucker for period pieces, World War II movies, things like that. And yeah, just seeing like OG Captain America, early Nick Fury with the Commandos. Like, this is a time period. I know that they've done comics like way back then, but I feel like they haven't explored that area a lot, or at least enough in this modern day. And maybe that's a good thing. Last thing we need is for like a poor creator to go back and reimagine things. But
right.
I just love that whole era. It's like obvious good and evil, and just like the heartfelt speech from, it's not Captain America if you don't get a good speech out of him, you know?
Yep.
Man, yeah, that opening scene just really, it does set the tone, because that what Cap is saying, about being the one man, who believes in an idea, and like Nick Fury, you can see him carrying that torch in this, in this series right here, just even in these first 6 issues. You didn't show it, but as the scene continues on, it ends with him actually, or maybe you did show it, him visiting Cap's grave. And I saw that as like, when I was reading through it, I saw it as like it was like a passing of the torch type moment. He's like, okay, Cap, that's what you did. And now because at this point, this is after Steve Rogers dies. Yeah. See, there he is. Yeah, he's saying there, he's like, who but us remembers what it was like to be righteous? And it's like, if somebody else is going to carry that same torch and have those same ideas as Captain America, I mean, who better than Nick Fury? Like, the guy who served with him, during World War II. Bucky, I know Bucky does end up becoming Cap, in this era, but I mean, Nick Fury, I mean, he is the guy who really, I feel like, takes Cap's tone to heart. And he's like, he's going to turn around and he's going to tell, Daisy or whoever works with him, he's going to lead them like Cap led him and his team. So yeah, that was a great scene. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it really was. It really, really was. So yep, so that was mine. I'll take that one. All right, twin. Number 2, what you got for us?
Number 2. Oh man. There is, you know what? I'm going to go with, I want to make sure I'm reading it right, because yeah, it's going to be, actually, you started at the very beginning. I'm going to go to the very end of issue 6.
Good one.
I'm going to go to the end. So,
yeah.
Just a little bit of build up to that. At this point, over the course of these 6 issues, what's happened is Nick has this squad of superpowered individuals. They're not alpha, they're not like the big, most powerful ones, but they have powers. Then they were chosen strategically by Nick for whatever their powers are. And he has Daisy lead the team. These are the Secret Warriors, right? Daisy's Secret Warrior, or Nick Fury's Secret Warrior team. They're led by Daisy, by Quake. And he allows her to lead them as she chooses fit. He doesn't micromanage. He's just like, hey, Daisy, you're going to lead them. You train them however you want to, but you have to get them up to, raise them up to my standards. And so over the course of these 6 issues, they've had missions together. They fought. They've had several things happen. And so by the time we get to this little scene, they're doing just like this kind of, the two of them are just kind of having this heart to heart. And it's really, this is, when I was talking about like family themes, like this is probably one of the strongest ones, if not the strongest one that I've read, at least in these first 6 issues,
Mm-hmm.
is the bond between Nick and Daisy.
Yeah.
Is he starts out, he's like, I want you to know a couple of things, Daisy. Actually, it might be where you at. It'd even be a little bit further, I think. Is that
Okay.
the end of issue 6?
This is
Yeah.
no, it's not. Here, let me get to that. You got it.
It's
I
funny
will
because
get
there's
there.
there's two scenes between them, and they both have like the same filter or the same color theme. So
Mm-hmm.
I was looking through and I thought I had it. I was like, oh wait, this isn't it. It's the other one.
Yep.
So I had to
Oh,
scroll a
this
little
is
bit
the
further.
the one day later.
One
There
day
we
later,
go.
that's it. Yeah, so at this point, they've completed an attack on the dock, which is like the old shield base that got converted into Hammer. They had a huge fight against Hydra. They ended up winning. Um, so at this point, Nick and Daisy, they're having like this little a sit rep or a heart to heart or whatever. And Daisy's like, let me see here. Where's the pay? Yeah, right after that. Yeah, there go the helicarriers. One day later. Epilogue. And of course, there's Fury with the whiskey and goes, of course. And he's like, what else is he going to be drinking? He's not going to be drinking no root beer float. So
Nope.
here's Daisy. And Daisy is like, Daisy's got like all the tact of a stampede. Basically, she's not very subtle. So she comes in, she's like, I jumped my team into a war zone because you said if this thing ever went off, come running, and I could have gotten them all killed just because I hopped when you hit a button. And then Nick's like, yeah, and instead you went and saved the day, which, I mean, in Nick Fury's world, that's a compliment.
Right.
So he's like, I want you to know a couple of things, Daisy. The first thing is you did a fine job out there today. Your whole team did. I'm proud of you. You got the goods. Don't ever think otherwise. And then you even see there's this picture. Daisy's like, little smirk, little smile, because Nick Fury just like gave her this. I mean, that's got to be like a standing ovation in Nick Fury speak.
Yeah,
So yeah,
seriously.
right? I mean, and you can, it skips a little bit. You skip the next couple of panels. Well, actually, on the same page, Nick Fury, he goes into this spill about like what it's like to be a spy as he's pouring a drink. He's like, this is what we do. It's time to grow up. Time to stop playing pretty girl and face some hard facts. There are questions that you will not get answers to. There are things going on that you don't get to know about. And rest assured, I will never slip up in case you feel like being coy. So he starts out with a compliment, but then he like goes into this like, this is what it means to be in this world. Like, you don't get answers to every question that you. It is like he says, this is like the grow up talk. And it's very much like a surrogate father daughter talk. It's like, listen, I'm proud of you. You did a good job. You did well. But here's some of the facts of life here. It's like, you're not going to be able to find out everything. This is what it means to be a shield agent. Uh, so I like that because on the one hand, it's Nick Fury showing some softness. He's not all, gruff a bunch of people think he is. He does have
Right.
a soft. You just got to stick with him long enough to gain access to it. But then
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, he's like, listen, I like you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go easy on you. I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you. It's like, this is the real world. This is how things work in this world. You're going to have to just put up with it.
Yep.
There's nothing I can do that's gonna make it any better for you.
Right.
So I really like that because this is the hard ass. This is like the cold, cool, calculated Nick Fury, but he's not just gonna throw. I mean, at this point in Marvel too, he and Daisy have been working covertly together for several years now. you go back and you can read Secret War, not Secret Wars, Secret War by Bendis, which was a pretty good story. That had Fury and Quake kind of in cahoots. They were working together. Um, so there had been several years of this partnership between them. And so, yeah, just seeing this, I thought it was a really good way to end this story on, to end this, or at least this volume on. This father daughter kind of team,
Right.
leading these group of spies in this crazy Marvel world. So,
Absolutely. Oh, so, and that was the scene. That was like the main part.
that was the scene right there. I mean, then it goes into like, then it just goes like she wants to know, who called for help if Fury did, and it kind of goes into some plot points there, but uh, mainly it was just that right there, just Fury, just congratulating her, some positive reinforcement there, encouraging,
Mm-hmm.
and then just being like, this isn't an Avengers book. This isn't a fantastic. We're not superheroes. We're secret agents. We have there's a different line, a different path that we walk. So
Absolutely. Yeah, he
I
had
like
to.
that. I like that distinction that he puts there.
Yeah, he had to lay it out for her, as a reminder. And Daisy, she's still getting accustomed to this, kind of life. She wants to do well and she
Mm-hmm.
wants to lead. And Nick, he's really responding to that, that the purity of her intentions and her ability to actually
Yeah.
carry him out. So, but like you said, he also had to give her a dose of reality. This business only gets dirtier and dirtier and slipperier. And unfortunately, a little bit of the naivete that you have, and you're not totally naive, Daisy, but the little bit that you still have, you're going to have to continue to
Mm-hmm.
lose. You're going to have to continue to get hardened. You're going to have to continue to accept things for what they are and work within the parameters that you have to be effective and get the results that you need for the job. So yeah, he's giving her that insight.
Yep.
All right, for me, this scene, I really really like this scene, primarily because, well, one, it's one of the few times that we're gonna get to see Nick Fury in some sort of like suit. Two, it's only going to be one of the rare times that we get to see Nick Fury on a date, and how Nick Fury dates and how the rest of us date is very different, and we'll see that. And the other thing is, because of the tension in the scene, we get this character from his past that comes back in, and you see them rekindle their relationship, but at the same time, you see the interesting position that they're both in, and this is where the
Mm-hmm.
key title for this volume comes into play. Let's go and let's take a look at this one.
I know what the scene is now. I like this. This was close to being one of my two. This was very
Yeah,
close.
it's so good. So we're gonna skip past the iPhone down there, and we're gonna go
The
straight to the
iPhone.
scene. All right. Okay, so this is Nick Fury. You can see that he is on a date. He's in Tamaya. He's at the Tamaya Resort in New Mexico, and we see him there, and he is, you know, obviously waiting for, someone. And I think most of us can probably figure out who he might be dating and waiting for. But he's waiting a while. It's Nick Fury, so there's no one else in the place. He had to buy the place
Mm-hmm.
out for privacy, and then we see a figure walking up. You kept me waiting. Aren't some things worth waiting for? When you wear a dress like that, you
Whew.
damn right.
She was poured into that dress, man. I mean,
Bro,
wow.
poured in it. And you know what? Overflowing at that. So of course it's Contessa.
Yep.
And she begins to sit down at the table. You look tired, Nicholas. You look good. Retirement suits you. Hmm. Oh, so you're working. When it suits me. You don't need the money. I never have. Bored? You know me, Nikki. Always. And then the stare, the tension builds. And then they draw, of course, because this is espionage. They don't know if they can trust each other or not. As much as they got the hots for each other, they equally could be trying to take each other out, for the highest bidder. Who are you working
Yep.
for now, Contessa? Over the years, you've used me as you saw fit, Nicholas. I didn't mind. I liked it. But I don't work for you anymore. I do and say and take exactly what I want. I work for myself now. I know who I am. Who are you? I've never made any bones about it. Or any bones about that. Haven't you? Biggest spy in the world, spook of all spooks. And now you've been pushed aside by your organization and abandoned by your country. Look at you. You're a poor little boy who's gone and lost his flag. Nick Fury, an agent of nothing. And you contacted me, so I came. And then he withdraws. Want to eat? That would be lovely. And that's all I needed. I didn't even really need the rest of the scene. But bro, that's a scene right there, okay? Like, let's go. Oh, snap. Okay, Rachel. Hey, what's up, Rachel? Joining us.
Hey, Rachel.
Thanks for stopping by. Rachel Popcorn, that's what the P stands for. And again, we are doing this live on twitch.tv/Skipintosh, SKIPNTOSH. So I know a lot of y'all who watch us on the YouTube channel, we do it live before it goes over to YouTube. Come join us. Come be a part of the conversation. And right now, we're talking about Contessa in that dress and the tension in that scene. Twin, tell me how you felt about that scene, because it was crazy.
That was fun. Like you say, it's one of the few times we see him in a suit, and there's just like, it's got that James Bond feel to it.
Yes.
This whole thing is a spy story, but this is like the one part that was like, felt like James Bond. And yeah, there's that whole part where she's talking about how like he walked away from Shield, or was abandoned by Shield. His country is like disavowed him. And I was reading through that and I was like, well, dang, this guy really doesn't owe anybody anything. Like, he could just go off and live his own life on a private island somewhere, retire, and just, I don't think anybody would fault him. I think it actually speaks a lot to his character that even with the whole being disavowed and nobody wants anything to do with him, and he doesn't have a country backing him anymore, he's still, it goes back to that scene your first scene with Captain America, like just believing in an ideal and just leading a group of people. I think it shows how much that he really embraced that speech, or embraced that thought, to where he doesn't need anybody to back. He's like, fine, I'll do it myself, or I'll have a few good men with me that'll go with me and change the world. So yeah, I really dug that a lot, because she's saying it when she's talking about it. She's like, why are you even doing this? Like, yeah, you were the best spy, but nobody wants to touch you. Nobody wants to go near you. And Nick Fury's like, I have an idea, or I have a few good men. That's all I need. It's like, I thought it was a really cool scene. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I was digging it. It was awesome. Yeah, just great tension. And like I said, the way that he worked in, what the title of the book was just masterful. So yeah, just really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, this is his first Marvel series that he's doing, and he is laying down the law like this in his first series. It's like, I mean, it's almost like, if that's where you're starting, how much better can you even get? And the answer was a lot better.
The answer was see Fantastic Four, see Future Foundation, see Secret Wars,
That
see
was the
Infinity.
answer. See Infinity.
Yeah.
Like, It was just amazing, just incredible.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that was that. Those are some impactful moments that stood out to us about Secret Warriors Volume One by Jonathan Hickman. Now we're gonna open it up to just kind of open discussion. We're gonna be talking about anything from the script to the lines to the coloring to the lettering to the fact that Brian Michael Bendis and Hickman came up with the story together, and then after Volume One, you never see Brian Michael Bendis's name on the credits again because they took them training wheels off. They said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
this man can fly, so we could take the training wheels off of this bike because
Yeah.
it don't make no sense."
He
But yeah,
does.
twin, yeah, what you
Was
got?
it you that mentioned? Was it you that said like Hickman will just take the scraps or take whatever Bendis leaves and just take it and mold it into something great and
Yeah,
just was that you that said that?
yeah, we were talking about
Okay.
Hoxpox and we were
Well,
talking about like gold balls and like all those
yeah,
other like weird
Hoxpox.
characters that like Bendis comes up with as like a joke, but like Hickman takes them and redeems them and actually makes them like pivotal and
Hmm.
important to a story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what Hickman does here. He takes, this is building off of Secret War and then also Secret Invasion. Those two things together. I don't think I wouldn't say they're 100% necessary to read Secret Warriors, but like if you've read them, you can pick up the pieces like, oh, this is what they're referencing here.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I like that he was able to build off of that with Secret War, especially because I think that was effectively when he went AWOL from Shield.
I believe it
I think
was
it was
in
in
Secret
Secret War.
War. Hmm.
Uh, yeah, so I mean that, and then there was Secret Invasion where he does show up at the end and he does lead the charge in Secret Invasion, and some of those events spill over into here as well. But I like how Hickman was able to take like those Bendis written stories or those components and factor them in. And those aren't even necessarily bad Bendis stories. Like Secret Invasion was I thought it was really good. It kind of
Oh yeah.
had you on your toes the whole time it was coming out, and
Yep.
Secret War was also really good. So yeah, I like he was just able to take those little bits and pieces, or those big bits and pieces, I should say, and just
Yep.
use them to make that good of a story.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so even back then, I mean, he literally started his career out, taking the bits and pieces and the leftovers and the scraps of Bendis' story and building upon them, to turn them into something, really to elevate him and to turn him into something like that was that much greater. And, I would be surprised if some of the feelings that I believe Jonathan Hickman has about Brian Michael Bendis today, probably weren't fully formed at that time. But I can understand how, if you're coming up with a story and you're writing the script, and if you are not very familiar with with a certain person and they get put on and their name gets put on as credited too because they come up with the plot, how that could potentially rub you the wrong way. But for us as readers, who are, removed from that type of thing, it just comes
Mm-hmm.
off as just pure master of the craft, crafting the type of comic books that when we spend our money on them, we walk away and say, "You're damn right that was worth $17, or you're damn right that was worth $10, or or at that time, $2.50." You damn right
Ah,
because they
I
put.
miss
Yeah, I
those
know.
days.
Me too. We're holding the line at $2.99.
$2.99. Yep,
We're
you
holding the
did for
line
about a
at
year.
we're holding the line at $4.99. We're holding the line at $5.99. It's just like, yeah, it just rhymes, bro. But every time you raise it by $1,
Yeah.
but whatever. Anyway, yeah, it was just incredibly impactful. Another thing that I really appreciated about the story was the art. Obviously we're up here talking about Jonathan Hickman quite a bit, but I believe it was it Stefano Caselli that did this? Let me double
I
check.
believe so. Caselli, yeah, Caselli,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Stefano Caselli. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, I don't know if Alessandro Vitti was in the first 6 issues, but Caselli is the first one mentioned. Yeah.
yep. And VD does come in later, and VD does good work too. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, especially if you're so. I have the digital version of the copy of the book that Twin has. Twin, if you want to hold yours up so people
Oh,
can see. And yeah, what did they call the digital version of this? It's the the complete collection volume 1.
Oh, it's the yeah, it's the complete collection. This is the first volume. Yeah.
Hmm. So that one has 2 volumes to it, and then me, I have that digitally, and that's what we're looking at here over in the stream. But I am collecting the floppies, so I have some of the floppies, and I have a lot of the hardcovers. So I have for mine, it's just
Nice.
Bendis, Hickman, and Caselli, Volume 1, Nick Fury, Agent of Nothing. As you can see here, my camera, I've turned off autofocus because I got my focus set up the way that I want it. But so in there, you get to see more of, who's on what, and, and who's the artist and the colorist. And actually, I want to shout out the colorist too, because even though this is basically when we were coming out of that period where digital coloring still was a little rough and still a little muddy. We were just starting to come out of it. And let me see who did the colors on this one. So yeah, Stefano Caselli is the artist. Colorist was Danielle Redoni. And yeah, she held it down. In the beginning of the book, which I'll go back over to it. I really liked the colors more in the beginning because it it was a little more colorful and a little more vibrant. Later on, we get into more like browns and grays and stuff like that. But I think she did a great job on the chain. Another thing that was really cool that I liked about the book is they were also using some like blur effects as well to kind of give a perspective. So particularly in this one right here, go back over full screen. You can see that down in the bottom left corner, the person who Yo-Yo just knocked in the jaw, and he's like flying towards us, or what would be the camera. You can see that he's a little blurred out, and he's kind of got some motion blur on him. And I really appreciated that because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in comics that comes off as kind of jarring and takes you out. But personally, they didn't overuse it, in my opinion, in this one. So it actually came off as more effective because they used it sparingly. So it added more dimension and such to the book as I was going through it. You got Druid in the back casting his spells and stuff like that. You got people way far in the background in the top right, recognizing that that they've infiltrated and kind of getting into the action. You've got people getting dealt with at the moment, kind of in the middle, and then more so in the foreground, we got people like flying who just got hit. So that's a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're almost putting your full display, like your full repertoire of, your the vision that you're having for the book, and then like rendering it, you're really putting it on display there. And I really appreciated them starting off the book with such energy and such thoughtfulness.
Yeah, it's a very like this particular page even like it's very busy. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot going on, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like okay, I'm not overwhelmed. I like the way the focus, the way it's framed, the way everyone's positioned in it. It's really really good, and the coloring. I especially like the way they do the lighting, like with Druid and his symbols coming out of his hand. The way that they kind of reflect off of a stone wall. They're shining off a part of his body. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
really really well done. I enjoyed this. I was going through. It's like because I haven't read or seen a whole lot of stuff with Casilli's art.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, this was really cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty awesome. And yeah, like you said about the busy thing, like what's good about it is, he's an experienced enough artist to know that if you're going to make a chaotic scene, like you said, a very busy scene, the thing that you have to do as an anchor is you have to put your characters, your protagonists, your heroes right there smack in the middle as the focal point.
Yep.
So that way, as long
Right.
as our eyes get drawn back to them in the middle, we don't feel overwhelmed by the busyness. We can kind of we can start off with them taking the action, they're in their poses, he's got all that right. And then our eyes can start to travel along the rest of the page. and and catch exactly what else is going on, and it doesn't feel too out of whack because it's all nice and centered and grounded by our heroes there in the middle. So yeah, it's really spectacular, masterful work to open up the book. Was there anything else within, in or outside of the book that kind of caught your attention or that you wanted to talk about?
I like the Hydra parts a lot. I like you know, the leaders that they have that they set up on the board. This is another thing I was reading through it and I was like, oh yeah, Agents of Shield took this from Secret Warriors too, where it's
Hmm.
like not one leader, it's like this whole table. You've got like five different guys.
Hmm.
And some of them, if you watch Agents of Shield, you might recognize like the Hive, the way his aesthetic is with the tentacles. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I remember this guy from the show. But I like them a lot. I like the Gorgon especially, and I've
Bro,
read
they
some
brought the
stuff with
Gorgon
Gorgon,
back.
but that dude is brutal. I forgot how brutal he is. There's that scene though where Daisy and her team, they're like staking out and they're watching Hydra attack this base or move on this base, and Gorgon shows up, and Yo-Yo, who's the speedster, she's like, I can take him. Nobody's as fast as me. And Gorgon just does like a somersault or some move with his sword, and he's like, I'm that fast, and he hits her, and you're just like, dang, like the dude is powerful, and then he's also brutal. Like if you the scenes where he talks, it's like this dude. I mean, he's like Fury. He don't play.
He don't
He
play.
says, whenever he talks, he gets to the point. He doesn't mince words. He minces people. So it was just like, shoot.
Yeah, the dude, the Gorgon was incredible. And another character that Jonathan Hickman made a point to continue to use throughout the book. The Gorgon is in
Mm-hmm.
Hawks and Pox, and was also
Mm-hmm. Right.
in in his X-Men series. And again, he used the Gorgon in like amazing ways throughout his. There was one particular issue of all the issues that people may have took issue with for Hickman's X-Men run. The issue where they have to go and have a meeting and the Gorgon is part of the security for the mutants. The Gorgon gets
Mm-hmm.
off. Like Hickman gives the Gorgon a hallway scene, basically. And bro, everybody, regardless of everything else, when
Oh,
that issue came out, everyone was like, yo, this issue is so good and the Gorgon is amazing. So that's pretty cool. I really appreciated that. But yeah, like seeing
yeah,
their
yeah.
whole, the actually all of their rogues that came in, and actually I'm gonna go back to that scene for a second because I
Mm-hmm.
think it is important to note all of them because the twist at the very end of
Yes.
this
Yeah, the
series.
twist.
Oh boy, it is a twist for your
Yep.
keister. Let me tell you that.
And like that's the thing, like since this is a spy story, like there are certain parts of a spy story that I feel like I've come to expect, like a double cross, or a mole, or something like that. And there's just elements. It's like eggs or milk for if you're baking a cake. It's like it's got to have this ingredient somewhere in there. But the
Hmm.
way Hickman set it up, though, like when I got to that last page, like I was like, oh, like that's who it. Oh, okay, Hickman, I'm gonna let you cook. All right.
Yep. Let that man cook. It's smelling so delicious, right? Um, but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, so we got the hive there, as you saw. We got the
Mm-hmm.
Kraken,
Yep.
Madam Hydra, again the hive. All together, we got Baron von Strucker down there talking in the
Mm-hmm.
bottom right corner,
Yep.
and we've also got Viper. So
Yep.
that's who all that they're up against. And oh man, like I thought about this as one of the scenes, I'm good with the two scenes that I picked. But I was really, really, really so close to picking the scene where Strucker gets introduced in the book, in like that underwater
Mm-hmm.
Hydra scene that they
Oh,
have.
yeah. The underwater base, that was good.
Yes.
That was really good.
It was
Oh
so
man. Okay, so
good,
for
man.
for all right, so like I said, Hickman took a lot of elements from Bendis's Secret Invasion, which of course was the big story where it's like you didn't know who was real and who was a scroll impersonating people.
Right.
And so what happens is Strucker's in this base and he's like, I know that there are scrolls like in Hydra or in Shield. And it turns out like these Hydra agents that he's in the room with, they all turn out to be scrolls, and they're like big old scroll boys. And yeah, Strucker just is like, this will be fun, and just takes them all out, just like easy peasy. So like which I like to see, because when I think of Baron von Strucker, he's the old guy with the monocle. I think of like, and I know he's not this, he's more powerful than this, but I just think of like an old Nazi villain with like a monocle or something. Just like, I always imagine a cartoony German accent with it, but this just kind of set the stage like how badass he could actually be. And then he just walks out, self-destructs the base, kills all the people that are in there, whether they're scrolls or not. Like, complete doesn't care. Like 100% doesn't care.
No.
That was a really cool scene. That was close to being one of my scenes too. That was just such a cool scene.
That was a really, 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 really cool scene. And again, it kind of sets the tone for, like what Baron von Strucker, what his vibe is that he's going to be bringing to this series. And it was awesome. Let me see. I'm trying to think of something else that was in there. That yeah, the twists and turns were really good. Man, you
Mm-hmm.
brought up a scene with the Howling Commandos, and it was like his timing on bringing people in and out of stories was perfect, because we spend so much time with with the Secret Warriors, Daisy and Yo-Yo and everybody else. We spend a lot of time with them, and then you know through the course of the story, very masterfully, they don't achieve the highest success with some of the recon missions and the intel missions that he put them on. And he
Right.
kind of chastises them, and then he lets them know they're not ready, so they get pushed off to the side. And then he ends up needing some like some firepower, so he has to go look for some people that can like give him some firepower, give him some men. And sure enough, he goes and he finds the Howling Commandos, and they are, well, I don't want to say heroes for hire, but effectively they are, hired guns, right?
Right.
And I just love like him and Dum Dum Dugan and all of their conversations and how they're catching up. And Hickman, he didn't have to do this, but he did. Like Dum Dum is older than Fury, so he'll often call him son when they're talking. But when it
Right.
comes to barking orders, he gets in the line of command, and Fury, call him soldier, and he'll respond, yes, sir. So I just love like how when it's more personal, in a way, Dum Dum like looks out for Fury like he's an uncle and talks to him as
Yeah.
such. But then when it's time to
Mm-hmm.
get to action, he looks at him as his commander and treats him as such. And I thought that was awesome.
Totally. Yeah, man. Get yourself a right hand man like Fury has Dum Dum Dugan. I mean, the dude is old faithful. What's that scene? And there's a scene they're attacking the dock, and they're in these helicopters, and the helicopters are getting blown out of the sky by an anti-aircraft cannon. And Fury's like, Dum Dum, we need some. And Dum Dum's already like hanging out of a helicopter. He's got a rocket launcher, just like he's already on it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool. That was yeah.
Yeah, that was a really awesome and fun moment. And I hadn't read it in a while, so I was like, "Oh yeah, how do they deal with this part?" And boom, like Dum Dum's already on it. I'm like, "Oh, that's great."
Yep. I also
Mhm.
like I said, it's a spy story, so there's some things I expect to see like double cross, but I like Hickman will just like surprise you with them. Like he'll just be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, here's one of those scenes." So like there's a scene where like there's these two guards, they're like clocking into duty on this base that's about to be under attack. And it's like a younger guy, and he's talking to an older guy, and they're just talking about their day and talking about their work. And I'm trying to find it right here in my book.
Mhm.
Where'd it go? I should have put a bookmark.
Should
I
have
need to
bookmarked it.
start using that. Yeah, I think it's at the start of issue 5 or of issue 6, but it's like
Okay.
it's at the dock, and there's this young guy, he's talking to an older guy,
Hmm.
and he's like,
Oh
they're hammer
yes.
agents, not Hydra agents, hammer agents. And
Hmm.
so the older guy is talking, he's like, you remind me of how I used to be, an old guy making way for the young guys, and they're just talking. He's like, the older guy is like, yeah, my first day on the job, Nick Fury, he's given me some advice. He gave me 2 pieces of advice. He's like, hold on a second. And they go through like the shift change and different protocols and stuff like that. And so then he's like, oh yeah, advice from Nick Fury. He told me 2 things. He's like, number 1, never leave a beautiful lady unattended. And the younger guy's like, oh, that's a good rule. What was the second rule? The second rule, and then the old guy is like, he's like, where is it here? He's like, the second rule, oh no, we got helicopters in the ground. The second rule kind of keeps getting put off and put off. And then the young guy's like, hey, what was the second rule? And he gets shot in the back by the older guy. He's like, the second rule was Howling Commandos only retire when they're good and damned ready. I
Yes.
was like, oh dang, he's
Yes.
just as cold as Nick Fury is. It's like he's building. I didn't realize it, but it was like, yeah, he was like building the suspense, like something was gonna be coming, something was gonna be happening with this second rule, or like when he started talking about these 2 rules, and it just like it kept getting put off and kept like getting delayed. Then he does the first one. I'm like, okay, what's the second one? They keep delaying and delaying, and then you just like one panel, it's just like blam, you see it off panel, and then yeah, it goes to him at the end. He's like, oh yeah, this was the second rule, and then you
Yeah.
find out, of course, that he's not really Hammer. He's working with Nick.
Yep.
So I really like that scene a lot. That was really cool.
And
Nice
he
little
said,
surprise.
and remember, he set it up too because he was talking to the Secret Warriors, and he was like, I need someone to infiltrate. I need an inside person over into Hammer."
Mm-hmm.
And it gets mentioned, and everybody just kind of looks at each other like, "Not it," you know. So, and then you don't hear anything
Yeah,
about it
right.
again. And he found his person that it was going to be, and it comes up again,
Yep.
here at this scene. Hickman is just so great at that. Yeah,
So
that,
good.
yeah.
So
Just
good. And I was
mhm.
curious. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go right ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say I was curious how he was gonna do, because I knew that this was gonna be more of a spy book, a secret agent book, and I was curious how he would handle the transition, from like the big cosmic alien invasion story to being kind of like a not small, but comparatively smaller spy story, and he's so far so good. He handled it really well.
Absolutely, yeah. He's been great with it. Well, all right. We have fawned over this book quite a bit, and we're gonna keep fawning over it because we've got more volumes to read. So, Twin, why don't we wrap things up and conclude how our experience was with this book?
Man, it was a great experience. I'm already looking forward to the next one, to the next arc, the next 6 issues. It's, anything with Hickman now. I mean, it's like you got me with Brubaker and Ram V. I mean, anything now written by this guy, I just want to go seek out and find. Just want to like drink up all the books that he's written. I'm already, once I'm even trying to find, like, I'm looking forward to getting the second one of these, just after I read through it. So yeah, it was a great time. I like reading original Nick Fury. I know that we got Samuel L. Jackson in the movie version and everything. Everybody loves, and rightly so. But this was the Nick Fury that was around when I started reading Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just really cool to see him back in play, and it's just really. I have not the floppies of this one, but I do have a bunch of the older Nick Fury Agent of Shield comics that are up on my to read list, because I like GI Joe. I love those like paramilitary stories, and the Nick Fury Agent of Shield run. any of them, it seems like, follow that same vein, that same category. So I'm looking forward to reading those and continue to read Secret Warriors. So yeah, I liked it, man. I liked it a lot. Thank you for getting me hooked on another Hickman series.
It's what I do. I guess I just get people hooked on Hickman series. Um, yeah, for me, it was really cool and it was fun. And if I remember correctly, yes, I read this before I read the his ultimate stuff. And oddly enough, probably one of the few people to write both versions of Nick Fury, because he wrote Nick Fury here for the 616 and did this whole series, but he also did the Ultimates, where in the Ultimate Universe, where he wrote the Samuel L. Jackson version of Nick Fury. Which, it's interesting now that I'm thinking about him writing both, although they obviously look quite different, the spirit of the character is still there with both of them. That's the interesting thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, he knocked it out of the park with both of them. But there's something special here with the fact that he got to spend 6 volumes taking Nick Fury through all these twists and turns, and we really, really, really got to tap into the espionage parts of it, because the Ultimate Universe stuff had obviously espionage elements, especially his Hawkeye series that he did in that, that falls in between the Ultimates volumes. But though the Ultimate stuff was more like action, like espionage action. There's action in this, but there's more espionage in it, and it feels a little more concentrated and pure to the espionage genre. And it's just really, really, it's brilliant. Honestly, it really is. It gives you all the feels of, like you said, the James Bond and those different types of espionage movies. But the cool thing about it is very much a comic. This is not someone trying to write a movie script in comic form, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and just do storyboards. This is someone who is employing the medium of comics to masterfully and effectively tell an espionage tale of a character that, if you're familiar with Marvel Comics, you either grew up with, or if you're coming in from the MCU, which is totally fine. You get to comics however you get to comics, but you
Right.
you know enough of the spirit of the character from the MCU to be able to continue to take the ride with the original version of the character in the comics 616 universe. And it's just a damn good time. I just really loved the ride. It's a thrill ride, and the rabbit hole only gets deeper and deeper and deeper as we go through. So thank you all so much for joining us on this journey. Thank you for continuing to support us as we go through this journey. Thank you for reading along with us. If you aren't, feel free to get caught up. You can grab these volumes. You can grab the digital versions of them. If you're trying to get the floppies, like the complete collection is fairly easy to find. The individual trades aren't too hard to find. The hardcovers are a little more difficult to find, especially Volume 4, which I won't say what that is surrounded by, but it took me a really long. That was the last one that I had to collect, and it took the longest to get my hands on it. But I love the story so much that
I
I've
will
got it.
say,
Mhm.
I was gonna say, while we were talking about them, I was actually looking on In Stock Trades,
Mhm.
which is where I love to get my collections. They have an omnibus of Secret Warriors coming out in August of this year. So 1 through 28, and then a couple of single issue like specials that go along with it. So yeah, come August time, I'm gonna have myself a new omnibus for the collection.
As will I, because I was this close to buying like a used omnibus, because it was hard to find Volume 4, and I was like, should I just cut my losses for Volume 4 hardcover and just throw some extra money together and buy the omnibus? And I found someone who was selling one for like $140, and I was like, I'll just bite the bullet and pay the extra money to have it all in omnibus form. Gosh, I'm glad I didn't. And thank you so much, Twin, for looking that up, because now I know, and I'll definitely be saving my money. Oh my gosh!
There
And
you
you know
go.
what?
There you go.
On that note, because I love organic price books as well. But another website that I
That yeah,
really
they're good
love,
too.
and that's what I was gonna say. I meant to say I love in stock trades as well. But organic price books is darn good too, especially for like large collected editions and omnibus. So yeah, coming out August 1st,
Mm-hmm.
125 organic price books has it for $83, and I'm getting ready to push that pre-order
Love
button
it.
as soon as the stream is over, as soon as this recording is over. And on that note, again, hey, grab it. If you want to wait till then, grab it. You can get the digitals in the meanwhile, or you can grab the collected editions, or the complete collection like Twin has, and just yeah, read it along with us and enjoy us. This didn't come out super long ago. I mean, at this point, it's been over a decade since it came out, but that's not the point. The point
Yeah.
is that this was right in that sweet spot of comics where we were coming out of, the crash, and we were climbing back up, after we had the speculator crash, and the quality of storytellers and books was great, and the quality of art was still there. And this is like right in that sweet spot. This is where I'm all about stuff that was from like the late 80s, early 90s, and then stuff that was from like 2002, 2004 to 2015. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, these are the types of comics that that you want to read. Read them with us, join us. We would really appreciate it and would love to have you along for the ride. Twin will be back with me next time as we cover volume 2. Ash was not able to join us this time for volume 1. Please, everybody, when you come across Ash, bug him and say, Ash, we watched the stream and we watched the video. You really got to get back on with Zach and Skip, and please give us your thoughts on Secret Warriors Volume 2. If you stroke his ego like that, he'll be happy to oblige. That's all I've
I
got.
don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong with that.
You know it. As humble as a man as Ash is, he's got his vanities. We've all got ours. And if you stroke that ego and Ash, oh Ash, with that big old brain that you got there, I just really, really would love to hear what you have to say about Secret Warriors Volume 2. And he'll come and join us, and he'll be along with us. Twin, any last words to say to the people before we get out of here?
Man, ah, gosh, it's just such a good book. If you want something different, if you like spy books or espionage books, it does have that superhero, what you want to call it, that superhero spectacle. But it's very much a spy book, and it's highly enjoyable, just like I think darn near anything else Hickman's written. X-Men will put off in its own camp for now, but anything else though, this belongs right up in there with that top tier of Hickman books. So definitely, and this is the first thing he wrote for Marvel, and it's already really good. So it's like we said at the start of the stream, he only gets better. It only builds up from there. So yeah, check it out, have a ball, thank us later.
Thank us later, but stick with us now. We'll see you guys on the next
Yes.
one. Later.